The question on
don't
everyone's
care.
lips has been, what exactly is Death Stranding?
So, slight retrospective. Leading up to this, there was a lot going on. Hideo Kojima and Konami did their thing. They made half of Metal Gear Solid 5 and then parted ways. Um, so Kojima was kind of without work. So one Video Game Awards. I don't even know how. I think I saw it on YouTube because I don't watch the Game Awards. No, I think that year I did. I watched the Game Awards that year, and mysterious trailer comes out showing Norman Reedus. And no, I think the first one had more Guillermo del Toro and Mads Mikkelsen, then Norman Reedus. It was like revealed in a weird order. I don't think Norman Reedus was the initial selling point of this game. I think it was Mads Mikkelsen. They were trying to bite off his Hannibal fame from back then. But yeah. So the game kind of was everything was a teaser trailer, and he was like you would get a teaser trailer like once every 6 months, if even, and just you didn't know what the fuck was going on. You just kind of trusted that Kojima was allowed to be his weird, kooky self, hopefully with some restraint, because good Kojima has restraint. Bad Kojima has no fucking restraint. But yeah. So then it wasn't quite the successor to Metal Gear that people thought it would be. Completely different game. It's not even, arguably, not even supposed to be a AAA game. But let's see what they got to say about this. I'm rambling.
Well, now we know. And the answer is complicated.
Of course.
You'll see what I mean.
The
That's
first
true.
post-Konami game from famed designer Hideo Kojima is a boldly inventive slab of sci-fi.
I completely agree with all that. So far, so good.
Fastidiously crafted and host to some truly breathtaking spectacles. But it's also a cross-country crawl that frequently finds itself mired in an exhausting amount of inventory management, backtracking, one-note mission design, and unprecedentedly arduous travel. Hideo Kojima may have earned his legion.
This is also super true. I'm sorry. I was drinking. Yeah, it's super true. Travel can be arduous. Think it's supposed to be so, but it's kind of a hard sell.
Of fans by allowing them to be a snake, but in Death Stranding, he's asking them to be a snail.
That was actually pretty funny.
The Death Stranding in question is the name given to a cataclysmic event that only small pockets of humanity, the Monster Energy Drink Corporation, and a social media-inspired status system have survived.
Thanks for your help.
You are Sam Porter Bridges, a post-apocalyptic.
Seriously, this guy is just like on the money. I should have got a good look at his name. That's disrespectful to me. Hold on. We were at 115.
3 years of cryptic.
Tristan. Oh my God, Ogilvy? You're just gonna be Tristan. Tristan.
Postman played by The Walking Dead's Norman Reedus. He's on a quest to reconnect the isolated remnants of civilization.
Don't forget the Boondock Saints.
And save his sister, and yes, that's a ghost detecting baby strapped to his chest.
So I like this guy. But yeah, let's get this out the way real quick. The way this story is written, and a lot of Kojima's games, by the way, do follow this, is that like I feel like the story probably goes through two passes. The first pass is like, hey, the game pass, where they just talk about all their like ridiculous ideas, put it out there. Like, yeah, you got ghosts in the world, and they catch you unless you have a baby that could detect you, because babies are kind of like new life. So it's more symbolic, but yeah. So they do the symbolic pass, and then the fun pass, the gamey pass, all that good shit. And then the second pass has the logic added to it, and the what's the word? The stakes, the morbidness, the what will happen if we fail this mission. Let's make a visual. Okay, there we go. That's more visually interesting. What will happen if you mess it all up? But yeah, I love how he delivered that deadpanly.
Sam is allied in this pursuit by a quirky cast of characters with even quirkier names like Heartman and Die Hardman, and opposed by the wonderfully maniacal.
So this is a big big. It's not even all that big. But there's a problem I do have with the game. They love to show off some weird butt shots of Fragile, and she ain't working with much. It's even weirder when you realize that, again, major spoilers, that her skin gets fucked up.
Villain Higgs, who has an appetite for both licking faces and chewing scenery.
Hell, seems like a fair exchange to me.
It's definitely an intriguing story setup. But if you think that playing the role of a courier makes it sound as though Death Stranding could be one continent-spanning 40-hour series of glorified fetch quests, it's because that's exactly what it is.
Okay, so damn, this is weird because he's absolutely right. He's totally right, but like the way he said it kind of made it seem like a fetch quest is automatically bad. They can be bad because they kind of make it seem like the heroes got the protagonists have no agency of their own, so players typically don't really enjoy them because it's like, I'm just going to this marker to be told to do something by somebody else. However, you are a mailman, so I think having your own agency in this world wouldn't make too much sense. That was a very deliberate choice to make him a mailman. And honestly, like him being a mailman, it fits better for this world than, like, you know, other occupations in other worlds, like Mario and the Mushroom Kingdom. Love the franchise. I'm not talking shit about it, but it's like, huh? They just made you a plumber so you could go through pipes. So it's not a new thing. I'm not really gonna fault it for that.
The vast majority of Death Stranding's 70 main story missions bear a strong resemblance to the optional side missions we've all played in countless other open-world games.
We'll be awaiting the next delivery.
So again, issue is that he's comparing. He's saying Death Stranding's main gameplay loop is basically the side gameplay loop in other games, but that's kind of irrelevant. Like, let's say, what's a good one? Like, just because something's not primary in another game doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, and sometimes that's even better. Case in point, gameplay in Red Dead Redemption is, you know, you go talk to your crew, go do whatever the hell homeboy wants you to do, because you don't have your own. I haven't seen too much of my own agency in that game, but you don't have too much of your own in that game. And the side things are things you don't have to do, are like hunting. And real talk, hunting to me is more preferred than playing the main story quests in Red Dead Redemption 2. So it's a weird setup because it makes it seem like he doesn't like this game because, again, there's side missions to him, which can't agree with.
With the exception of a handful of combat-oriented diversions, advancing the plot amounts to taking item X from location A to location B over and over again.
Indubitably.
Beginning scan. Have a pleasant journey.
Delivery order for Sam Porter Bridges.
What makes the repetitive objective somewhat bearable is that the scorched landscape of Death Stranding is staggering in scale and rich in detail, to the point that I initially...
Fuck yeah, man. Like, it's weird. I was thinking about this the other day. I haven't noticed any tiling textures in this game. Like, that's bizarre considering that the whole thing is just terrain. I mean, there's some internal structures too, but it's 95% terrain. Probably even more than that, to be honest with you. And it's a good looking game.
wanted to slow down and pore over every
Also, the photo mode in this game, dope.
inch. And it's just as well too, because I wasn't really given any say in the matter. The opening hours are so ploddingly paced that it makes the whole thing seem like a personal attack on the speedrunning community.
That's fucking clever. I like that. I like this guy. This is fucking true. The pacing of this game's beginning chapters is dreadful. And it all ties into this whole theme that, like, the gameplay is supposed to be somewhat painful, because if it's not, what are you overcoming? The gameplay is the adversity in this game. That's the thing. And it's hard to sell that as a package when the core gameplay loop is supposed to not be comfortable, because, I don't know, it's the core gameplay loop in the sense that it's what you're going to be mostly doing, but I don't think it's the core gameplay loop in the sense that that's what the developers want you to derive a feeling of pleasure from. But he'll probably talk on that a little bit more.
At this point, we're all accustomed to walking through
And I'm really, really trying my hardest not to sound pretentious here, but like that's the only way I can make sense of this shit.
vast game environments carrying an arsenal of weapons and items, but Death Stranding turns what's usually a fairly effortless task into a grueling exercise in frustration, thanks to what is possibly the most aggravatingly literal inventory system ever conceived in a video game.
So I don't know, this man probably hasn't played a lot of simulators. I personally haven't either, but like there's actually, you know what, I think I know what he means. Like one really, there's three major nitpicks I have with Death Stranding's inventory system. One, the auto arrange button kind of fucks you over sometimes because the little, I don't know if y'all can see it too well, but let's see if we could. Okay, so like right here, this little pack part, you want the most important things to be carried in there. What auto arrange will do is that it just auto arranges based by space, not by priority. So you'll have important things that are super dangerous if left up here, dangling up here. You want them down here, but the only way to get them down there is this weirdly meticulous, I don't know if it's explained in the instructions, but it's like you can't just say, hey, I want to move this item down here. You got to say, hey, since this item's up here, move this item out the way, move this item out the way, move this item out the way. Why they designed it like that, beyond me. That shit is annoying. That and the inventory, like if you get into it there on accident, fuck you, you still gotta wait a good 2 or 3 more seconds until Sam's model loads in. Then you could go back to the main menu. So yeah, the inventory system in this game, holy fuck.
Does Sam's personal inventory very easily become a comically oversized Jenga tower of cases teetering on his back, but its direct influence on his balance and momentum means keeping him upright becomes the challenge.
So that can happen if you're not paying attention. Not trying to insult the dude here. He looks like an honest mistake. But I played the game on hard mode. And at the end screen, it said I only tumbled like 18 times. And I know a good chunk of those are due to bosses. Not bosses. Yeah, some are due to enemies. Like, all the enemy types will knock you down. So I think in the wild, I probably tumbled less than 10 times. If you're paying attention to what you're doing, it's usually not a problem if you're cautious. And eventually you learn that you shouldn't be trying to carry every fucking thing. But, well, I learned that. But, yeah, the tumbling is not going to happen too much. And fortunately, when it does, you can just pick up shit really quickly. Depending, you have both hands open. If you're carrying a weapon for some reason, it's going to be slow.
You're forced to alternate between holding the 2 triggers and wrestling to keep the thumbstick on an even keel, making the act of taking a short walk up a slight hill feel more like trying to push a wheelbarrow full of bricks up a flight of stairs. Slowing
Like, that was completely avoidable.
things down even further are the BTs, or beached things, which haunt the many rainy areas of the map. Sam is initially defenseless against these supernatural enemies and must crouch walk past them with bated breath.
So, they were cool the first time, but after a while, they were kind of a joke.
Encounters with BTs certainly ratchet up the tension to survival horror levels the first few times around.
Oh shit! We have the same thought!
Turning otherwise unassuming dunes into scary silent hills. But they're ultimately easy to avoid if you walk slowly enough, becoming yet another of Death Stranding's many mechanics seemingly designed purely to put the brakes on your progress.
Yeah, that's annoying, especially with vehicles. Like, for some fucking reason, okay, I think it only happens if you run directly into them, but there were a few times when there was like no warning, or I couldn't tell where BT was, and boom, I got sucked in. But other times, I was able to avoid them, so there's still kind of a mystery to me.
Eventually, Sam is given the weaponry to tackle BTs in their monstrous form head-on. And there's no question that each face-off against these imposing threats presents an incredibly slick spectacle. Yet even when you do manage to scramble and take down one of these nightmarish beasts, your victory is often insultingly hollow. Your reward is typically a handful of crafting crystals.
Because you're not supposed to. avoid them. You're not supposed to fight them, really. Like, this is not a, and I think this is where a lot of people have a problem with this game. This is not a traditional AAA game. Just because you can fight people doesn't mean you should. And the BTs are a big one. Now, what hurts is when they force you to fight these motherfuckers because they didn't make the combat all that satisfying. Like, this is no Metal Gear Solid 5. But yeah, if you run into one of the BT mini bosses in the wild, just run away. You don't gotta fight them. Shouldn't be carrying enough weapons on you to do so anyway. But anyways, let me not tell people how they should play. Moving on.
And the onerous task of picking up any of the cargo you have been carrying. It feels like being declared the winner of a food fight, only to find out that your prize is a mop and bucket.
Again, just avoid it. Like, it's clearly supposed to be painful. Avoid that. You get nothing for it.
Roughly 10 hours in, things do pick up, as Death Stranding settles into its most consistently enjoyable rhythm. In relatively quick succession, you're given tools to build roads, to flatten out predetermined stretches of the landscape, and a couple of vehicles to drive on them. These certainly help
Yes. But okay, he'll go into this.
minimize the struggle of ferrying cargo from point A to point B, which of course is still what you're doing for most of the time. It's also here where the combat, effectively restricted to stealth takedowns and unarmed fisticuffs up until this point, blossoms to become exponentially more dynamic. That's thanks to weapons and gadgets that are suddenly thrust upon you at a steady clip. I found that Death Stranding's Metal Gear Solid lineage became more evident once I began to infiltrate enemy camps, create confusion amidst the human highwaymen with smoke-based decoys, and use the non-lethal sticky gun to hilariously whip cargo right off their backs from afar.
So what sucked is that they had fake cargo for the early game enemies, but later game enemies, I didn't notice any fake cargo. They don't care about cargo. They only care about Sam. So it was kind of bummy that I couldn't, take people down like that.
Combat doesn't ever quite reach the same level of flexibility as in Metal Gear Solid 5,
I have not unlocked that. I don't know what the fuck that is.
but it does introduce a much-needed sense of play amid the monotony of manual labor. But just as Death Stranding threatens to become a consistently enjoyable video game, the setting moves to a tiring mountainous area and story progress stalls once again.
Yeah, that happened. So they drip feed the fucking story to you over, for a good 20 hours. You only get 2 bits of story. Then at the end, it's like blah, 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 all story, blah, 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 story. And I didn't want this. You should have expected it because it's Hideo Kojima. He's not going to let you go without a 2-hour cutscene. But still.
Vehicles become impractical in these areas, replaced by zipline structures you can build. But Sony won't let us show you those in this review, so here's an extended look at Norman Reedus showering instead.
The private room is all fucky, but this is why I don't like major reviewers, because I get that they have to have embargoes put on them by whatever company they're dealing with, but we're not allowed to get a complete picture of this shit. Okay.
While there is some satisfaction in forging your own zipline trail over particularly rocky terrain, you're still just using them to transport boxes to some far summit outpost, only to be told to turn around and take some other boxes straight back down again.
Hopefully he'll get to the Strand system, because all this is absolutely terrible. He's not wrong. That shit sucks. But connecting with other people and making it better is kind of what the game's about. There we go. Okay. Also, these shower scenes were gratuitous, and I'm offended.
But Kojima Productions' willingness to experiment, for better or worse, is evident in all facets of Death Stranding, and its boldness is commendable. The asynchronous multiplayer component, known as the bridge link, shows the effects of other players on the world without ever bringing you face to face with them. I was particularly inspired by the cooperative way you can build, customize, and maintain structures like bridges and watchtowers. But the bridge link system still has its downsides. For one, assistance from linked avatars makes almost every one of Death Stranding's major boss fights shockingly easy.
That's the point. Also, then, everyone, he doesn't help you when you're fighting up against Mads Mikkelsen. Also, even though they're still easy, it's not fun. Like, they're easy in the sense that like they have no depth. Once you figure out bosses, one or two moves, maybe even three sometimes, um, all it is just about avoiding and attacking, and that's not a fun thing because for the most part, avoiding is just walking around this battlefield. Not even walking, trudging around some battlefields. Like in this particular picture where tar is everywhere, and you gotta like slow walk and shit. Ugh. Anyways.
Meanwhile, structures assembled by other players, while certainly helpful at times, can just as often mislead. Okay, who put this ladder here that leads to nowhere?
Who the fuck climbed the ladder that clearly leads to nowhere? Come on, guy. Don't do this. Don't. This is why I'm making my own videos. When you when you scan in Death Stranding, you can see structures. And I'm not gonna fault him. I am gonna fault him though because he should have done some research. But the thing about Death Stranding's map that I saw consistently was a problem is the elevation. It doesn't show you the elevation when you first go into it. You kind of have to tilt. I play it on PC with the DualShock 4 controller, so tilting the right stick worked well enough for me. But also, maybe I'm tripping. Okay, another thing is when you scan, right? Little dots appear showing what you can and can't walk on, or shouldn't walk on, I should say. Blue is okay, red not really a good idea, just due to steepness and all a bunch of other factors. You can tell that this ladder was going to lead to nowhere. Nobody's trolling you. You fell for that. Like, I mean, they are trolling you. Don't get me wrong, but you fell for this. Come on. And also, no game is immune to trolling. Come on. How did he fall?
Great, now you've upset the baby.
Oh yeah, upsetting the baby sucks ass. So don't do that.
And yet, despite all of my gripes, I still found myself being pulled westward towards Death Stranding's climax. That's mostly due to the sense of nobility that comes from rebuilding a fractured America.
So what are you waiting for? You put us on the goddamn grid.
The pioneering spirit of finding out what exactly was over the next hill.
God, yeah, that shit sucks at first.
And the lure of uncovering the mysterious cause of the Death Stranding itself. Elsewhere, I was sustained by consistently sublime artistry and ingenuity, both great and small. That's not to mention all the cheeky fourth wall breaking nods and winks you'd expect from the mind behind Metal Gear. Certainly when ads for actor Norman Reedus' real-life TV show appear whenever Sam uses the toilet, it's clear that it's Kojima who's the one who's taking the piss.
And honestly, I think Hideo is really the only person who could get away with a game like that, where they're just like constantly advertising in your face. Sometimes it's groany, but for the most part, it's done cheekily.
But you really need to work incredibly hard to enjoy a lot of it, because so much of Death Stranding feels convoluted and requires far more effort than it has any right to. Take the fast travel system. Let's say that you're here.
You're not supposed.
Here. Well.
Oh, he's okay. I remember this part. I seen this, I think, a year ago. He's gonna butcher this part, but I'll explain why.
First, you need to walk all the way to here. Okay, let's speed this up a bit. Then you have to hold a button to enter Sam's private room. Now, there is a cutscene, but don't worry, you can skip it.
He's on the money with that. The cutscenes get a little out of fucking hand. Like a bunch of little mini cutscenes, and some cutscenes you can't skip. There's one cutscene in particular. When you bring people onto the network, you give them this little device that puts them on the chiral network, and the same fucking cutscene plays every time. I think I may have seen one alternative version of it with other characters in the background, but that was it.
In order to sit through a second cutscene, but don't worry, because you can skip this too. And finally, wait, I forgot about this one.
He is
and
not
finally,
wrong.
You can pan the camera around to find the special teleporting umbrella, which Sam is forced to keep hung on the wall of his private room instead of, oh, I don't know, carrying it on his back? It's just a thought.
What?
Ready to take the plunge?
Oi. Oi. Oh no. Oh no, he really fucked that up. He fucked that all up. Holy shit. So, two things. One, a lot of this game requires forethought. I don't think he's even pointed out that you could plan your own route on the map yet. Like, this game is a game where your pain is minimized through effective forethought. With that being said, with fast travel, you need to understand that you don't want to do that shit anyways. Fast travel is really just to get to another point, but in this game, doing so kind of fucking hurts you because let's say you're trying to deliver a package from point A to point B. If you fast travel from point A to point B, your package is left at A. So traveling to point B, you really have to decide, why am I doing this? Otherwise, you're better off just walking, which is what you're supposed to be doing in the game. So fast travel, they saw that, during development, they probably saw that as like, damn, this breaks the game if we let players do this. It's time to add some exposition as to why he can't bring his items with him on fast travel, even though he kind of fucking does. It's weird. The game over explains and then under explains. Sometimes it backs itself into a corner. Actually, it backs itself into a corner a lot. But also, the other thing he fucked up is that he says that you use the umbrella to transport yourself, fast travel yourself. This is 2 levels of false. One, you don't use the umbrella. Fragile does. And 2, Fragile's not using the umbrella to teleport you. But that's a story thing. That's a nitpick. That hurts. I like you, Tristan. I really do. But you messed that part up.
Yes, I've been ready for the past 5 minutes.
Oh.
Certain landmark games in recent years, like The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Red Dead Redemption 2, have managed to successfully tread the line between the rigidity of realism and the exhilaration of pure escapism.
Not Red Dead Redemption 2.
Death Stranding possesses similarly lofty ambitions, inventive ideas, and a sprawling, spectacular map, but it's all been saddled on a backbone made of repetitive mission design and arduous traversal that simply can't support its weight over the full course of the journey. For more on Death
That being said, I don't fully disagree with their score, but just for different reasons. Like, this man clearly hates the base gameplay. I like the base gameplay. I'm okay with it. I'm used to playing boring games where you walk around anyway.
Stranding, check out the opening moments and our graphics comparison.
But yeah, he kind of messed that up. Let's go ahead and, before we exit out, let's see what these comments have to say. Because a lot of people call this, a walking sim, and they're kind of not right. They're not right. They're wrong, actually. They're very wrong. But let's find out. Imagine being a mailman and coming... That was funny. Yeah. Like, it's weird. Oh my god. Oh my god. It is perfectly balanced. How is that happening? Yeah. Okay. Sure, the entire is not monotonous like a flesh patch. The experience feels different, and when you actually make a delivery, you feel validated after you achieve something. You just survived climbing a ghost-infested mountain with rain to kill you to deliver some pizza. It's silly fun, but even still, like, one of the things, like, the biggest point of satisfaction for me in this game is linking something to the chiral network and seeing that, okay, what kind of seeing the same desire paths, because this game is all about desire paths. And if you don't know what desire paths are, they're these paths that usually form in grass where between sidewalks. So, a person would put down a sidewalk, and sometimes it's still not the most efficient route. So people will cut around the sidewalk and still walk through the path, through the grass. And over time, you see the constant people, walking that path, forms its own path. And these things are amazing because they basically tell you, hey, people who are making the sidewalks, we clearly don't want to walk on that. We want to walk over here. Can you help us out? And that's what to me, that's what Death Stranding is. Death Stranding isn't a walking simulator. It's a desire path simulator. Not even a simulator. Like, it's a asynchronous multiplayer desire path constructor. Boom. Pretentious as fuck, yo. Give me a fucking job. But this was fun. Definitely gonna do more on Death Stranding. It's an interesting thing. But I shall check y'all later. Thanks for tuning in if you did, and this will definitely be going up on the YouTubes. So I'm gonna go join my homes. They brought Smash over, so that's probably what you've been hearing in the background this whole time. So peace out.